Coming up is part 1 of the course from makethattrack.com. As a member of our website, you get access to all the links, presets, samples and loops, and also project files, including MIDI, for all the tutorials on the site. Enjoy this free tutorial and be sure to check us out at makethattrack.com.
Hey guys, welcome to part 1. In this video we're just going to be setting up our drums and creating our basic techno drum beat. So to start off with, we're going to be creating a drum rack so that we can play multiple drum hits with one track, and we're going to be using MIDI for this. So on the right I have a couple of audio tracks and a couple of MIDI tracks set up. And if we want to insert an audio or MIDI track, all you have to do is right click on a track and choose Insert Audio Track or Insert MIDI Track. So the first track I have here I've named Drum Rack, and this is a MIDI track. So in order to start working with MIDI and getting our clips in here, we're going to need to use what's called a drum rack. So we're going to go into Instruments on the left here, just drag the drum rack right on, and it's going to pop up at the bottom here for us to use. And this is just a bunch of empty pads that we can assign audio clips to, which will then allow us to either write a pattern with a MIDI clip or to play it using a MIDI keyboard. So to get our clips into here, all we have to do is navigate to where our samples are in the browser. And if we go into Current Project, I have all of our samples for this project saved into a Samples folder. So we're going to go into Samples and we're going to open up the Drum Rack folder. And we're going to have all of our clips that we're going to use here. So let's just drag them onto the pads one by one. First we have our kick, and then our snare. And then we have our hi-hat, we have a ride, and we have a closed hi-hat. Okay, so now if I click on the play button for any of these, we'll be able to hear sound. Okay, so if we want to fine-tune any of the attributes of these instruments, we have a window here on the right that changes depending on the sound we have selected. We can change a multitude of things, but what we're going to change right now is just the volume. So on the right here we can see volume, and we can just change this for each instrument. So I'm going to bring the ride down, way down to like -28. The closed hat we might leave at around -16. The open hi-hat might be -16 as well. And we can fine-tune these a little bit later after we get our clip in. So to start writing with MIDI, all we have to do is highlight an area, right-click, and choose Insert MIDI Clip. And it's going to insert a blank clip for us to use. Now to get in here and start writing with MIDI, all we have to do is double-click on it, and that's going to open up the clip view here. And as you can see on the left, all of our audio is routed to a different note. So if we just start writing, to get a note in here, just double click anywhere. So now I have a kick. And to copy this, I can hold Control and drag it. So let's put a kick once every beat. And we can have a snare once every other beat. Okay. Then we can have our open hi-hat on the upbeat. We'll do the same for our ride. And if we want to actually do this quickly, what we can do is click on the hi-hat keyboard note here, and it's going to select everything within that lane. Then we can just control and drag upwards. And we can do the same for the closed hat. And if we want to loop this, all we have to do is drag it out. So this tempo is a bit fast for the song we're going to be creating, so I'm just going to bring this down to about 120. And the tempo in the top left here, all you have to do is click and drag to change the tempo. Or you can click on it and type in a number. Okay, so now let's spice this beat up just a little bit with the closed hat. So if I double click here, I can create another note. And if we want it to be a little bit less loud, all we have to do is hold Alt, and then we'll be able to click and drag to change the velocity. And as we do this, the note itself will get lighter, and it will show us how lightly that note is played. Another way to do this is at the bottom view here. We have all of the velocities, and we can just click and drag any of these upwards. And for the last bit here, let's just add another hat. Okay, so now we have our basic beat. Next, let's work with some audio. So underneath this, I have an audio track called Tambourine. So we're going to close the drum rack folder in our samples, go into Other Percussion. We're just going to drag Tambourine in here. Now this is an audio loop, but by default, we're not going to be able to loop it. So what we have to do is go down here into the clip view and select this loop function. And now we can drag it out. Okay, simple enough. Next, let's create another drum rack that we're going to use a couple of different tom samples with. So we'll go back into Instruments. We'll drag a drum rack down here. And then we'll go back to Current Project where we have all of our samples. Then we have 3 toms here. So we have tom high, tom low, and tom mid. Now this time, instead of writing the track in, let's try and import a MIDI clip that I already have set up for us. So back here in the browser, let's go into our MIDI folder, and let's choose toms and just drag them on. It's going to ask us if we want to import tempo and time signature data, and we're going to click no because we already have our time signature and tempo set up how we want them. Okay, and finally, to complete our kit, let's just go back into the samples folder, into Other Percussion. We're going to drag a crash on to the final audio track. Okay, that's going to do it for our basic drum beat. In the next video, we're going to be importing some instruments into the song. So I'll see you then.
We hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this course. To continue, please go to the website and select a membership to suit your needs. Welcome to MakeThatTrack.com. At Make That Track, we provide everything you need to make your favourite style of music from start to finish. Our Getting Started series will show a complete beginner where to start and what they need to do to start making music out of the box. Once the basics are grasped, you can learn how to make the genre of your choice with everything that you need in the process. Want to know how to make that elusive sound from your favourite producer's tracks? Check out our How to Make That Sound tutorials. We take the guesswork out and show you exactly what you need to do to get that sound within a few simple steps. With tips on arrangement, mixing, mastering and effects, you'll have everything you need to prepare your tracks to send to a record label and to play in the clubs. Get everything you need to make the music you love today.